Today, it's all about water and flowers that are inspired by water. Today, we're going to learn how to draw geraniums, specifically the splish splash geraniums. I'm Rayna Lo, and welcome to my studio. The geraniums in particular that we're going to be drawing today are called the splish splash geraniums, and they actually look like water droplets that have spilled onto the leaves. So we're going to start with simple shapes again. We're going to start with a circle for the center of the flower. And we're just going to wrap some petals around the circle. Now the petals of this particular flower is really pretty. They look like little stripes, and to me they look like water had splashed onto the petals. And you're just making random marks and also coloring them in. So you can start to see that it's giving the flower some characteristics. And have fun with these lines. They're just random shapes that I'm putting along the petals. Just think of water splashing onto the petals or even paint, and how they randomly fall onto the petals. All right. So after some markings, it's starting to look like more of a wildflower, which is really pretty. Sometimes I like to add more personality to the flower too by personifying them, so give them a little face and some blush. So this is the basic shape of the geranium flower. When I think of the geranium flower and this pattern, I think of raindrops splashing onto the petals. So I'm just gonna draw a simple teardrop shape to look like raindrop falling onto the flower. Kind of gives it a little bit more context too, and a little bit of storytelling as to how the flower got its pattern. I do like to make up stories whenever I'm drawing. It just adds a little bit more fun to the illustration. All right, so I think I'm ready to transfer this onto a final composition. So let's get started. I'm grabbing mixed media paper here. And when I researched the flower, there was two colors that I saw. It came in a blue color and it came in a purple color. And so I'll be using these two colors to draw these flowers. And these are paint pens that are called juice paints from Pilot. They're really fun to work with. They're really similar to the Posca pens that I've been using before too. And they're just really vibrant, colorful pens that last a really long time. And they also don't make a big mess too, considering that they're paint. Right. So I'm going to start with the blue. We're going to draw a simple circle. And you're just going to follow what I did in the sketchbook here. I'm drawing simple shapes, simple oval shapes to look like petals to go around the circle. And then I'm going to go in with random stripes. I really love this pattern because it takes a very simple shape that everybody is used to drawing for a flower and turning it into something that's really like unique and interesting to look at. So I'm going to do that around the flower petals. And again, these strokes are really random. It's wherever you feel like placing them. You know, think of water running. You can't really control where the water is flowing. So just let your mind wander and place your colors, your patterns and stripes randomly. Okay, I'm gonna come back to this flower, but I also wanted to add a purple one. And I do really like how the two colors come together. And again, same thing. We're gonna just do some random stripe patterns on each petal. When I did some researching on these geraniums, some of the petals had thicker stripes, some of the petals had thin, so they're really random. Some of the petals were half filled in. I really think they're looking so fun together. I'm gonna add some green stems just to give it a base. And also let's give them a little bit more personality too. So I like to use a yellow for the face, for the eyes. So they're kind of sleeping a little bit. So these are just simple U shapes to make the eyes. And I also like to add a little bit of pink to give them some blush. And whenever you add a face to any object, it just really livens up the object and it makes it a little more interesting to look at. So I do really like how that pink, small pink pops forward. And so I also, you know, when I was drawing these flowers, I thought of raindrops. I thought of how the water was coming onto the petals to make this shape. And I was just kind of making up a story in my head about how the flowers came to be. So maybe, you know, we had some rain. Let's see. Maybe we had some blue and purple rain that was coming down onto the flower. And that's how they got. And then here we have a raindrop coming down to the flower and making their petal patterns. So I really like how this looks. I think I'm actually going to add some cloud components just to tie in the story a little bit more for these flowers. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my stencil. So what I do is I just I'm gonna make simple clouds using the circle shape here, and I'm only going to use half of it. So what I'm gonna do is make let's see, and you can estimate too, it doesn't have to be perfectly centered or placed. So I'm going to start making the cloud shape right over here. So that's gonna be where my cloud is going to be. And then I'm going to pick another size because clouds have different sizes to them. Let's go with this one here. And just maybe a smaller one just for fun. Your clouds can look like any shape. So what this is going, I'm just going to draw like an imaginary straight line here. just so you guys can see what the cloud is going to look like. I could fill in the cloud, or I could make some fun patterns with the clouds too. I was really inspired by the patterns that I'm seeing on the leaves, so I want to do the same for the cloud. So I'm going to do a straight line pattern here. And what's great about using pencil is you can go back and erase the pencil lines later on. But this is how I'm going to make the clouds. So this is another fun way to draw clouds, tie in the story that we're creating with these geranium splash flowers. I can finish that up in a little bit, but I also wanted to add some purple because I'm wondering now where the purple raindrops came from for the purple flower here. So I'm going to use this section of the cloud to create a different pattern. I really like circles, so I'm going to decorate this cloud with a bunch of circles. And you can use the pencil lines as a guiding reference on where to fill in and where to stop. So I think this is looking really fun. It's a really interesting cloud to look at. Okay, you can finish that up later too. And then I think I want to finish off this circle here by just filling it in. So as I finish this up, let's take a look at the Gardner Museum. Water is the essence of life, and this is certainly true here at the Gardner Museum. Every day, the museum's horticulture team spends mornings in the courtyard tending to and watering the many different varieties of plants that flourish all year long. This daily ritual is one of the many things that I think make the Gardner so unique. Let's head back into the studio to finish up the composition. Welcome back to the studio. Let's wrap this up. I'm just going to add a few more raindrops. Again, they're teardrop shaped to tie in this composition and also to conclude the story that I've created for my flowers. I think it's really fun to create a floral pattern out of the geranium flowers, but I also think it's even more fun to create a story to go along with it. I always like to make up things as to how things came to be. So for these flowers, I'm like, oh wait, well, I wonder how the petals got their unique shapes. And I then thought of raindrops, because they look like rain or water that has just splashed onto the leaves, like just slightly kissed them and rolled off. And then I drew the raindrops. And because they were different colors, the rain must have been blue and purple colored. And then I thought of where the raindrops were coming from. So then they had to come from clouds, but then these were special clouds that the rain was coming from. And they are patterned clouds to make the flowers really unique. So in itself, the flowers are already unique, but I wanted to reflect and create a unique story to go along with them. And I hope you had fun creating these flowers and learning how to draw them, but I also hope you have even more fun creating your own story to go along with it. Until then, I'd love to stay connected. Please check out my website at raynalo.com or Instagram at rayna.lo. Also, we'd love to see what you create. Please tag us at Gardner Museum so we can check out your work. We'll see you next month.